name is Becker Cash. I'd like to give a quick description of the Superintendent Advisory Board. So we're a group of students that meet once a month with Dr. Ramey and Dr. Waller to offer our opinions and give advice on any sort of topic going on at the school.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna start off with a few events we have going on at Oakwood right now that we're really excited about. So first on the list is TA, that is our Turnabout Dance. So basically, turnabout means girls ask guys, but we kind of all just mix it up and we have a great time. So that is this Friday. And then recently we just had the musical, which is The Wizard of Oz. I was not able to make it to it, but I heard really great things. So I'm glad to see we have a strong artistic community at Oakwood. And if I can see this, we have a couple more. All right, and then Academic won state again. They've won it 12 times. That's definitely very impressive. So we have a strong academic streak here too. And then No Masks is fairly recent. That was enacted, I think, right after February break. I think that it's a great middle ground because we've got to that point where we're able to transition away from some of that personal protective equipment. But people who choose to have the mask on, they still have that choice to feel comfortable, and they definitely aren't judged for it. And it's a fairly common choice. So I appreciate the choice we have there.
Yeah, and speaking of the no masks, we're here to talk about how the pandemic and all that has impacted our time at school. I guess we'll start with the negatives and move to the positives. So some of the issues we've noticed with the pandemic have been a loss of learning or some people falling behind. I mean, not so much now, but once we got back from Christmas break, like early January, a lot of students were quarantined or tested positive for COVID, and hence they missed a bunch of school and a lot of the in-person learning. And I heard from a lot of people when they got back, there was issues, or they felt behind and didn't really understand what was going on in their class. And speaking to that learning loss, with the half days and virtual learning last year, I've heard of a lot of people and personally that they've missed some of the material learned in other classes. Like for example, I missed the last half of chemistry due to the start of the pandemic, and taking AP chemistry the next year was definitely a bit of catching up. And the second issue that we've noticed with COVID has been the socialization or lack of such. With that quarantine, a lot of people have been isolated, and we've noticed that from talking with our peers and in general that a lot of people have been experiencing more social anxiety, a little bit of mental illness, I guess, depression, and that's been a bit of an issue we've noticed. Moving on to the positives.
All right, so this is kind of a transition to positive because this next point, that's not necessarily positive, but it's a potential positive. So it's something that we can hope for. I think that a lot of the social traditions at Oakwood are what make this town special, what gives it character, what helps students feel that special sense of belonging and home, being in a small community like this one. So a lot of the people who carry those traditions and are used to them are graduating, or even if they haven't graduated, they're juniors, they're on their way out. And our younger classes have definitely come up in an age of more independence when it comes to learning, when it comes to extracurriculars, all of that. Because so much has become virtual, they definitely have their own sort of separate circles going on. So I think that it should be a very easy transition, but if we can just push to make sure we're getting everybody involved and having some kind of collective community, even inclusive and diverse is wonderful, but just having something collective that we can all, relate to, I think that's something that we would all appreciate, especially being a senior who's leading. I kind of feel that responsibility to hope that we have some of that in the next few years. And then also the positives of virtual learning is there's a lot of room for taking initiative. If you were struggling in a class, you have Google Classroom and you have all the notes available to you. Even if your teacher, let's say you can't ask your teacher the 15th time how to do a basic circuit, you're a little embarrassed. You can go on to Khan Academy or anything and you can find a video that will help you out. So I think students have become more independent in ways that are positive for those who take initiative, but for those who don't necessarily take initiative, they aren't told to, or maybe they don't have that maturity level yet. I think there needs to be a transition to a culture of, it's okay to learn on your own, it's okay to learn remotely, but it's also okay to ask for help. And we're going to inspire you to take that initiative to learn remotely and to look for resources that you can find So I think that's been great. And then also we have virtual events, some that aren't even necessarily associated with Oakwood, you know, seniors and juniors who are on college searches. There is an entire world of information out there. I'm towards the end of my college searching process, thank God, but there's still so much that I have never heard about, that I've never touched, and so much of it could be so positive for me. So I think that's awesome that we have access to so much. I think it's important that we're making sure students have devices, that students have, you know, Wi-Fi at home, or students who don't have Wi-Fi, they have somewhere they can go to get that, because that's not necessarily always a guarantee. But yeah, I think there's a lot of great transitions with virtual learning, and I think there's, you know, strong potential to really make that an asset in our next few years.